Ever feel like you're drowning in stuff but somehow still feel completely empty inside? Like no matter how much you buy or own, there's this weird hollow feeling that just won't go away? What if we told you that the secret to feeling fulfilled isn't about getting more, but actually having less? So here's something we need to talk about. We used to think that happiness came from having things: the newest phone, the trendiest clothes, a house packed with furniture and decorations. But somewhere along the way, we realized something wasn't right. Our homes were full, but we felt empty. Our closets were overflowing, but we had nothing to wear. And that's when we discovered Japanese minimalism. And honestly, it changed everything. Now, before you think this is just another throw away all your stuff kind of video, stick with us, because Japanese minimalism is so much deeper than that. It's not about living in a bare white room with nothing but a mattress on the floor. It's about something way more meaningful, and we're going to share exactly how it helped us go from feeling constantly stressed and unfulfilled to actually finding peace and purpose in our everyday lives. What Japanese minimalism actually means. Let's clear something up right away. When most people hear minimalism, they picture those Instagram photos with empty rooms and maybe one plant in the corner. But Japanese minimalism is totally different. It comes from centuries of Japanese philosophy and culture, and it's rooted in something much deeper than just aesthetics. The Japanese have this concept called which basically means the space between things. It's about appreciating emptiness not as something lacking, but as something essential. Think about it like this. A room isn't useful because of the walls, it's useful because of the empty space inside. That space is what gives us room to breathe, to think, to actually live. There's also this idea of danshari, which is a whole approach to decluttering that focuses on 3 steps: refusing things we don't need, disposing of excess, and separating ourselves from attachment to possessions. But here's the key part. It's not just about the physical stuff. It's about clearing mental and emotional clutter too. And that's where the magic really happens. Japanese minimalism teaches us that every single thing we own should have a purpose or bring us genuine joy, not the quick dopamine hit kind of joy we get from impulse buying, but real, lasting appreciation. When we started looking at our belongings through this lens, we realized how much stuff we had that was just taking up space in our homes and in our minds. Why we felt so empty before. Here's the uncomfortable truth we had to face. We were stuck in what experts call the hedonic treadmill. Basically, we'd buy something new, feel excited for a few days, and then that excitement would fade and we'd be looking for the next thing to buy. According to research, this cycle is something that affects millions of people. Studies show that people in countries with higher consumption rates often report feeling less satisfied with their lives, which seems backwards, right? We were constantly comparing ourselves to others too. Someone would post about their new purchase and suddenly what we had didn't feel like enough anymore. Social media made it even worse because we were bombarded with images of people with perfect homes, perfect wardrobes, perfect everything. And we were trying to keep up without even realizing how exhausting it was. Our homes became storage units rather than living spaces. We had drawers full of clothes with tags still on them, kitchen gadgets we'd used maybe once, books we kept meaning to read. All this stuff was supposed to make us happy, but instead it was creating this constant low-level anxiety. Every time we walked into a cluttered room, our stress levels would spike without us even consciously noticing. The worst part was how disconnected we felt from our own lives. We were so busy acquiring and organizing and maintaining all this stuff that we didn't have time or energy for the things that actually mattered. Relationships suffered. Hobbies got pushed aside. We were physically present but mentally scattered, always thinking about what we needed to buy next or where we were going to put everything. The turning point: discovering Japanese minimalism. The shift happened during a particularly overwhelming weekend. We were trying to find something in our closet and ended up pulling everything out. And when we looked at the mountain of stuff on the floor, something just clicked. We had so much, but we couldn't even find what we needed. That's when we started researching different approaches to simplifying life, and Japanese minimalism kept coming up. What drew us in was how thoughtful it seemed. It wasn't about harsh rules or getting rid of a specific number of items. It was about intention and awareness. We started reading about the concept of motenai, which is this sense of regret over waste. The Japanese don't just throw things away carelessly. They consider the life and purpose of each item. This completely shifted how we thought about our possessions. We also learned about wabi-sabi, the art of finding beauty in imperfection and impermanence. This was huge for us because we'd been chasing this idea of perfection that didn't even exist. Wabi-sabi taught us that there's something beautiful about things that are simple, natural, and even a bit worn. It took so much pressure off. The more we learned, the more we realized that Japanese minimalism wasn't about deprivation. It was about abundance in a different form. Abundance of space, of time, of mental clarity, of meaningful experiences. It was about choosing quality over quantity in every area of life. How we actually applied it. We didn't just wake up one day and throw everything out. That's not how this works, and honestly, that approach usually backfires. Instead, we started small and gentle. The first thing we did was practice gratitude for what we already had. Every morning, we'd look around and actually appreciate the useful things in our space. This might sound simple, but it helped us shift from a mindset of lack to one of appreciation. Then we started the decluttering process, but with intention. We'd hold each item and ask ourselves, does this serve a purpose in my life right now? Does it bring me genuine joy or peace? If the answer was no to both, we thanked the item for its service and let it go. And yes, actually saying thank you to objects might feel weird at first, but it's part of that respect for things that Japanese culture emphasizes. We focused on one small area at a time, maybe just one drawer or one shelf. This kept us from getting overwhelmed and actually made the process kind of meditative. As we cleared physical space, we noticed our minds felt clearer too. It was like each item we released lifted a tiny weight we didn't even know we were carrying. But here's what really made the difference. We changed our buying habits. Before bringing anything new into our space, we'd wait at least a week and really think about whether we needed it. We started asking questions like, where will this live? Will I actually use this regularly? Am I buying this to fill an emotional need? More often than not, after that waiting period, we realized we didn't actually want the item anymore. We also embraced the Japanese concept of having a place for everything, not in an obsessive way, but in a way that made our daily lives easier. When everything has a home, there's no clutter building up, and there's something really calming about knowing exactly where things are.
What changed for us? The transformation wasn't instant, but it was real. The first thing we noticed was how much easier it became to make decisions. When you're not surrounded by endless options, your brain doesn't have to work as hard. Getting dressed in the morning stopped being this exhausting process. We had fewer clothes, but we actually loved and wore everything we kept. Our homes became peaceful spaces instead of sources of stress. We could actually relax when we got home because there wasn't visual chaos everywhere we looked. Studies have shown that clutter can significantly increase cortisol levels, which is your stress hormone. So by clearing our space, we were literally reducing our stress on a biological level. We had more time for things that mattered. Less time spent shopping, organizing, cleaning around clutter meant more time for relationships, for creative projects, for just being present. We started noticing small, beautiful things we'd been too distracted to see before. The way light came through the window, the texture of a favorite mug. Life got quieter, but in the best possible way. Financially, things improved too. When you stop buying things you don't need, you save money. Shocking, right? But beyond that, we stopped feeling like we were on this endless treadmill of earning money just to buy more stuff. We could invest in experiences instead, or save for things that truly mattered to us. The biggest change, though, was internal. That empty feeling we started with, it started filling up, but not with stuff. It filled with contentment, with presence, with connection to our actual lives rather than some idealized version we were chasing. We stopped comparing ourselves to others as much because we weren't playing that game anymore. Japanese minimalism taught us that emptiness isn't always a problem to solve with more stuff. Sometimes emptiness is exactly what we need. Empty space in our homes gives us room to breathe. Empty time in our schedules gives us room to think and create. Empty hands let us reach for experiences instead of possessions. This journey isn't about being perfect or following strict rules. It's about being intentional with what we allow into our lives and our spaces. It's about respect for our belongings, our time, and ourselves. And it's about recognizing that true fulfillment doesn't come from accumulation, but from appreciation. If you're feeling that same emptiness we felt, maybe it's not because you don't have enough. Maybe it's because you have too much of the wrong things. Japanese minimalism offers a path to something different, something that actually feels sustainable and peaceful. We're still on this journey, and honestly, we probably always will be. But we can tell you this: life feels lighter now. Not empty, but spacious. Not lacking, but intentional. And that makes all the difference. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.